Hello and welcome to episode 9 of our Galatasaray rebuild. We left off last time at the end of August at the start of the second season. We had a bit of a disappointing result in the league against Ankara Gucci, but we rebounded by qualifying for the group stage of the Champions League. So coming up in this video, we'll cover September and October. We've got some big games. Obviously, the Champions League starts and a couple of big games in the league. So we'll see all the action from the first game in the Champions League against Liverpool and a big derby game in the league against Fenerbahce. And obviously, we'll keep you up to date with all the rest of the action as it goes on. Hopefully, we can pick up our form because we haven't played particularly brilliantly so far. But it might just be a case of bedding in the new players. Hopefully, as we go on, we'll get better. Without further ado, let's get going. Going into the Liverpool game, the first game in the Champions League, we've continued our kind of indifferent run in the league. Obviously, in the last video, we lost one of our early games against Ankara Gucci. Since that video, I mean, we started well. We beat Konyaspor. We seem to always be able to win comfortably against Konyaspor. We beat them in the cup final last season. We beat them comfortably in the Super Cup, and we beat them comfortably in the league. The last league game against Sivasspor, we were really quite poor, didn't create anything, relied on a very late header from Lorenzo Luca to get us back into the game and rescue a point for us. One of the big things though is we are missing Nicolo Fagioli for the next 4 or 5 weeks. He picked up a groin strain in that game, so we're not going into the Liverpool game in great form. We've got quite a few players that aren't massively fully fit, so it's really just a case of going in and, to be honest, hoping that we don't get hammered too much, I think, but we will see what we can do. It's a home game at least, so hopefully that'll allow us to do something. I mean, they seem to have picked up Benzema, Danilo. In terms of the starting team, who else have they? They've signed Gabriel Barbosa. That's a pretty strong pickups they've had. Oh, that's not great. We're going to have to avoid doing that, just pumping the ball forward to their centre halves or full-backs and letting them come and attack us. The key is going to be trying to break their press. He was looking straight at Mo Salah and passed it straight to Mo Salah. What? I mean, we've not had a shot after half an hour. We are really struggling here. I think about the only good thing you can say is we haven't managed to concede so far. See if we can give them a boot up the backside. Starting with the ball in this position is giving me scaring the living daylights out of me. Largely because we're giving the ball away like that. And like that. And then they've got 5 on 3. Right. I think we've seen enough of that so far. Alright, we'll change our left hand side there. Turkish is tired. Van Aanholt got a booking against Salah. There's no point in tempting too much faith there. Oh. Well, these changes seem to have had a positive impact. And now we're forcing them to clear it hurriedly. We've certainly picked up since those substitutions. I think I'm going to need to make a change though in that. Gavi is probably the one that we need to actually Bunyamin in there. Oh. What a finish! Now, I want to rein that back a bit. Go a bit more direct. Let's just see if we can. Is there anything we can do? Oh, that's not really gonna. Just see if we can hold out for the last 10 minutes, probably including injury time. It's a lovely little interplay and a lovely little chip from the big man. That's your typical 6'7", but he's like Peter Crouch, he's good with his feet kind of thing. Just about onside. Oh, and he's got another one. How on earth have we robbed them of this? I mean, we were getting battered until those substitutions. I mean, the players that came on haven't actually done that much. But it just seems to have been enough to change the tide of the game. Juventus are obviously beating Lille in the other game in the group. I am genuinely lost for words with that. Like, honestly, we had 5 shots, 5 on target. They had 19 shots, 7 on target. We somehow ended up with more possession, which wasn't looking likely early on. But the guys have turned up today, particularly in that second half. The first half we were all over the place a bit, giving the ball away far too easily. But the big question is, given that performance, why can't they do it in the league? And we'll have to see if we can find some way of getting that performance from them in the league. Obviously, I think the next game we've got in the Champions League is against Lille. So that one's a key one. If we get a decent result, get a win in that game, then we're going to be in a good position. We've got the 2 games against Juventus back to back in the 3rd and 4th games in the group. But I mean, yeah, Juventus beat Lille 2-1. I mean, you would expect that one. But yeah, that is a genuine surprise. But we'll be back in a second with the Fenerbahce game. And we're back for the Fenerbahce game in the league. So since the Liverpool game, we've played a couple of games in the league. We drew 1-1 with Trabzonspor. Played well in the first half, just didn't create anything in the second half, and really struggled there. We had rested some of the key players because the likes of Gavi, Victor Nelson, and Chicaldo were really struggling in terms of their fitness. And then we went into the game against Hatayspor and came away with a 1-0 win from a header from Lorenzo Luca. Again, we rested some of those players that were tired, just to try and, because obviously we've got this game against Fenerbahce coming up, and then we've got Lille and Juventus in October as well, in terms of the Champions League game. So we need to keep them kind of match fit and not tired, not too tired. The game against Hatayspor was a key one. Although we were only 1-0, they were 4 points clear of us in the table before that. Looking at the table now, we are in 5th on 14 points. We're 8 points behind Besiktas, but obviously they've played a game more. So if we can win this game against Fenerbahce, then we're going to go sort of level on points with Fenerbahce in 3rd there, and sort of within striking range. But obviously the Besiktas game is going to be a big game when that one comes along. So going into this game, Fagioli's still injured. So we're playing Thailand in the centre midfield along with Chicaldo. Other than that, it's pretty much a first choice team. So hopefully, having rested some of the boys in the last couple of games, they'll be fit and raring to go. And it's a big game, a big away game, and hopefully we can perform like we did in the second half against Liverpool, and not like we've done by and large in the league games this season so far. So we're underway. Not much is happening. Both sides have had a shot. We are a hell of a lot more dangerous from corners this season, but that kind of might just be down to the fact that we've got a 6'7" centre forward. What we have tried to do is try to tell them to pass out less from the back. We were playing out from the defence, and like in the Liverpool game, that we gave the ball away far too many times in our own half, particularly in the first half. So we need to do something about that. But not much happened. There was that one highlight in the whole half, and that was a header from a corner. Turek just hasn't performed today. I think what we'll do, we'll take him off and bring on Yunus Akgun. Play wide and just see whether that can make a difference. Well, right. We've done well to get this forward, pass through them a bit. Should be scoring from there. Wasn't too challenging in the end, just couldn't get it on target. Oh. Yes. That harks back to last season. Getting the ball played in for Kerem, cutting in from the right hand side to finish. Obviously, he was our leading goal scorer last season, and a lot of them came similar situations to that. This season, I don't know whether it's just with Lorenzo Luca being up front and taking some of the goals, but Kerem hasn't really performed the same this season as he did last season. Part of that might be due to the fact that he's got a big new contract as well. But he's got one there, so hopefully that's enough to kick on for the season. So let's just see if we can bring some fresh bodies on, just to, because Lorenzo Luca's knackered. Actor Coglu's knackered. Have we got anyone that can play wide? You know what? We'll do that. I mean, Marcau's not performing, but is it too much of a risk to bring Somali on at left back, at centre back? Probably. But I think what we might do is bring him on for Van Aanholt at left back, and we'll leave it at that. And then we've got another change in the bag in case we need it. Yeah, can we hold on here? I mean, that was a game of very, very few highlights. I mean, there was 14 shots on target, but some of them must have been abysmal, given that we only had, 3 or 4 highlights in the whole match there. But we'll take that win. Obviously, as we said, that takes us up to level on points with Trabzonspor, 1 point behind Hatayspor. And I think it is, let's just check the table here, and 5 points behind Besiktas. So we're not doing too badly. I mean, obviously we had that bad loss. We drew against Trabzonspor. It is what it is. I mean, obviously Besiktas are obviously in really good form. So I think the key games are going to be, the key game coming up is going to be the first game against Besiktas, because if we can win that and close the gap, then we're going to be in a decent position. If we draw or get beat by Besiktas, then we're going to be relying on other people throughout the rest of the season for us to get back into this, back into the title race. But we're not too bad at the moment. Obviously, the performances aren't great, but as long as we can keep churning in, even if it's just 1-0 wins, that'll do us. Obviously, coming up in the rest of this month, we've got a couple of big Champions League games as well to focus on, so we might have to do a bit of rejigging the squad in terms of who we pick for some of the league games, but we'll obviously try and pick as strong a team as we can in every game and see where we go. So we've made it to the end of October. A real kind of roller coaster of a month. After that game against Fenerbahce on the 1st of October that we won, I mean, you can see just looking at the manager performance that it's only a C+. Performances haven't been great. We've got lucky in a couple of games. We have been unlucky in a couple as well. As you can see, we're sitting third in the table. We're only 3 points off the top now. So other teams haven't had the best October either. We've kind of closed the gap slightly. So it's still well within our run hands. Obviously, there's still another 27 games left, so it's a bit early to be starting to look at where we are in terms of the title. In terms of games, so since that game against Fenerbahce, the next game was the Champions League game away at Lille. And this was pattern with the Juventus game. We went behind early, pulled it back to 1-1, and then conceded late to go and lose the game 2-1. The same thing happened in the second game. We conceded early, pulled the goal back, and then towards the end of the game conceded a second and just couldn't get back into it. Although we've lost those 2 games 2-1, we are not too far. I mean, so we've won 1 game, Lille have won 1 game, Liverpool have beaten Juventus and Lille, and Juventus have beaten Lille and us. So obviously it's still far from over. Obviously the game at home against Lille is going to be a big one in terms of at least making sure that we finish third in the group and staying in European football. In terms of the league games, so obviously we'd seen the Fenerbahce game. The next game against Adana Demirspor, again we've got players struggling for fitness. We had players out injured. A comfortable win. We dominated the game. We were winning 2-0, got an injury time penalty ourselves, and then they went up the other end and pulled a consolation goal back. The Samsunspor game, really, I mean, again, similar situation in terms of the selection. We had a lot of players that were struggling for fitness and were injured. And actually, we had 2 fullbacks suspended in that game as well. So we didn't have a fullback to bring on when Van Aanholt went off injured. But we were 1-0 down after 5 minutes. It could have been 4 or 5 at half time. We were that bad. Then we pulled a goal back. Then they went and scored. And then we got a last minute equaliser from Lorenzo Luca. The good thing was Feggy was back from injury, just we're building him up. And then the last game of the month against Kayserispor, really good performance, really comfortable performance. 4-0 up at half time and just saw out the game to finish 4-0. So in the Champions League, we're bottom of the group, but level on points with Lille, and it's still a fairly open group. If we can put some decent performances in the second half of the group, we've got a good chance. And in the league, we're not doing too badly either. Third, we're 3 points off the top. Coming up in the next month or two, which we'll see in the next episode, we obviously got some big games against Juventus and Lille at home in the Champions League. We really need to kind of take advantage of those, because obviously the game against Liverpool away is going to be a tough one. In terms of the league games, not too difficult looking on paper, apart from that Besiktas game. That Besiktas game is going to be a big one just before the Lille game. But obviously we'll see what happens in November and December in the next episode.